to Monday, everybody. I got to tell you, I am pumped up, jazzed up, and ready to rock and roll. I was dragging a little bit this morning at 6:15 when my alarm went off, and I started getting all four of my kids up and out the door. But I have been up long enough, had enough meetings, and fully caffeinated that I am ready to rock and roll. How are you doing, Josh?
You know what I was doing at 6:15?
What's that? Closing deals?
Getting home from the gym.
So, wow, that's good. That's
Monday, right?
Well, that's quite the humble brag there, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, Josh, how did that whole robotics thing go on Friday that we were talking about? Are we is Skynet taking over? Did you watch the thing at 6:00? I had a family meeting that I had to attend to.
It was pretty cool. So you know how we talked about. All right, so if you missed Friday's show, what we're talking about is Elon Musk, my man crush, and one of his companies, Neuralink. They had a live broadcast at 6:00 where they showed a live demonstration of their brain implant, essentially.
Right.
So they've built this.
Did it work as good as when they threw that metal ball at the truck and it broke the window? And they're like, "Oh, well, that was a fluke. It was, we'll try the other window." And they threw the metal ball at it again, and it broke again.
Right. Well, so listen, when he did that, it made every newspaper. The guy is a marketing genius. Like, whatever you think of him, whatever you think of Tesla, whatever, he invented a truck to raise money. You know what I mean? And it paid for itself, the development, all that, whatever. So Friday, here's what happened. Friday, they had this demonstration. They showed this robot they built to actually implant, like to do the surgery. And the goal is to have it completely automated. The robot, it drills the hole in the top of your head. It implants all the electrodes. And in the past, their past version, I think we talked about this. There was like a node coming out the back behind the ear that held the computer, and the electrodes were inside your skull. Well, now what they did was the computer is this quarter-sized little bunch of chips that sits right at the top of your head, and they cut a horseshoe-shaped cut in your scalp. They peel back the skin, drill a hole, implant everything, put the computer in that hole, put the skin back, sew it together, and what you end up with is a small scar.
Ladies and gentlemen, now you understand why, for the first time ever, Josh Weidman is wearing a hat during the show.
Good call, man. Good call. Listen, I'm trying to change things up here. I'm a little festive. It's a best day of the week here, Monday. Yep. It's ready to rock and roll. So anyway, what they did show was they had 3 pigs. One that never had the implant was a healthy pig. That's our control group, right? They had one pig that their neuron or the Neuralink was installed into, and then they removed it, and they showed again a healthy pig. Like that's a big thing. If you do,
that's good. That's good. I appreciate that.
You don't want to get rid of it. And then they showed a pig with an implant, and you can tell that this is a newer technology, right? Because the idea is, hey, we're going to be
the pig reading Charlotte's Web.
No, actually, it was doing complex equations on a chalkboard.
There's a Charlotte's Web joke in here someplace.
Right. No, but what
was the pig's name? Wilbur.
What they were showing with this, you can tell it's a new technology because they're still mapping the brain. Right. And what they're doing basically is they're learning a new language, right? So they're using the Neuralink to read the interaction between the brain synapses and the electricity flowing between them. And so in the beginning, like what they showed is that they could read the body's or the brain's interpretation of the pig, like sniffing things and putting its nose against things, because it would show a beep every time it banged something with its nose. It was interesting. But what they could also see is that they showed this test where like you have a pig walking on a treadmill. I mean, it could have been a Simpsons episode, right? But you had a pig walking on a treadmill, and they were tracking where the feet were going and where the brain was predicting, or the Neuralink was predicting that the legs should be based on the explosions. And I mean, it was amazing, and it was very, very close. So they're getting closer to being able to track what is happening in the brain. And then like the next step is, okay, Now let's tell the body to do something using this mechanism. So it was pretty cool. But we're not there yet. No implantation on the top of my head. In fact, I'm trying to extricate myself from being so deep in some of this technology right now. So,
right. So, ladies and gentlemen, what you've just witnessed is what happens when Josh and I both have a busy morning and we don't have time to catch up in our pre-show 5 minutes, because I was interested in finding out what happened with that. I had a family meeting, was planning a funeral for my grandmother, God rest her soul, and so I wasn't able to find that out. So Josh, this week, this is an important topic. So if you would have asked me, we're talking about how to quickly fill vacancies. If you would have asked me 3 years ago, 4 years ago, hey Judah, you've been in real estate for about 20 years. At that point, it would have been around 15 years. What are you good at? What do you like? What, are your strengths? I would say that my strengths are negotiation from a position of friendliness without feeling like, the other side, it's a combative relationship. I would say that my strengths are creativity and structuring a deal, financing options, all kinds of different traditional, non-traditional financing options, and all different types of ways of structuring a deal. And marketing, the myriad of ways of marketing. I would say today, if somebody asked me, Judah, what is your strength? I would list at the top of that list, quickly filling vacancies with high quality people. This has become a real strength of mine. It has to be a strength of mine because I help lead a company that we manage 4,000 units across 4 different states. And our whole systems and processes get a whole lot better if everything begins with filling vacancies quickly with highly qualified individuals.
Well, and first of all, Judah, I noticed that the first time that we talked about Slate House Group and how many units that you guys manage, it was like 3,500 or 3,200. Right. And here we are a couple months later and we're 4,000. That's pretty good stuff. That's second thing is, this is a really special day if you're a landlord.
I don't want to jinx anything, but I'm working on a 1,200 deal right now. 1,200 unit deal.
I love it, man.
1,200 units.
At 1%.
Yeah.
Right. So anyway, I mean, this is a really special day. If you have tenants in your property that are not paying and you're just pulling your hair out and they're being a pain in the butt, because today is D-Day. Today is we're going to knock on wood here.
Yeah, don't say it. Everyone asked me, they're like, so Judah, September 1st, we can file for evictions. Judah, have they re-extended this? Can we file for evictions? And I haven't confirmed that with anybody. I haven't told anybody they're right. I think they are right, by the way. But I haven't actually said it because I'm nervous. It's like, Josh, you know enough about baseball. You don't talk about a no-hitter during a no-hitter.
No.
Right? I remember watching a replay of a no-hitter.
Yeah.
And telling somebody it was in a replay, the game had already happened, and they started talking about the fact that it was a no-hitter. And I was like, no, that's the power of the jinx. It can go back in time and ruin it. You don't talk about a no-hitter during a no-hitter. So I'm not talking about the fact that I think tomorrow we are going to be able to file for evictions.
And the thing is, if it was just based on your ability to file, it'd be great. It's like, if you are really super talented, baseball's a little bit out there. It's really superstitious game. But you get a guy like Muhammad Ali, you get, what's the dude's name in Las Vegas that's never lost? He's 40 years old and he's like 40-0. Oh, come on.
A boxer are you talking about?
Yeah, come on. Mayweather.
Okay.
Yeah, he'll tell you all day
long.
I don't
sports, man. I don't sports.
Okay. But regardless, you've got in high level sports or in high level activities where you can control all of the deltas and the variables there, you can make predictions. But unfortunately, we're at the mercy of these, of politicians and frankly, this is a.
You say we are at the mercy of what the politicians are dictating right now. It's almost like there are dictators who are telling us what we can and can't do.
We can't say that. We're going to get thrown off our show. Right.
Just wondering. Right. Just asking.
Yeah. So what I'm at.
Here's the point. We're about ready to file for evictions. There's going to be a whole bunch of evictions being filed, and we're actually not filing on more people. We're just filing on 4 months worth of people.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's actually pretty scary how close the numbers are for what we're filing on. And I feel really good about that, because what that means is we've given everybody a chance to, to come clean, and given everybody a chance to set up payment plans. And we've been, we'll work with a whole lot of people. But that being said, there's still going to be a whole bunch of vacancies that we ourselves are creating. And so we're going to be gobbling up a whole bunch of inventory of potential tenants. And everybody else is going to be doing the same thing. So right now, even though we're in a good real estate market, I think the next short term, in the next 2 to 3 months, it's going to be harder than normal to fill vacancies. But also 2 to 3 years from now, or maybe 6 months from now, when we see a downturn in the economy and the real estate market, it's going to be hard to fill vacancies again then too. So I think this is very relevant content, both right now and long term. How do you fill vacancies quickly?
I'm going to piggyback one more point on this.
Yep.
Especially in times when evictions are high, or foreclosures are high, or you have some kind of major negative economic event where people are losing their jobs and are unable to work. You've got a lot of people that are moving properties that are not qualified. So it's not placing tenants quickly. It's placing the right tenants that are going to set you up for success, instead of just pile on the headaches, And so that's a big part of this too. So, all right, let's jump in here. We've wasted enough time today. All right, here we go. Creating an effective rental ad quickly.
Right. So all this week, we're going to be talking about different facets of how to quickly and effectively fill vacancies. I think that the rental ad is one of the most important pieces of this. And if you spend any amount of time, effort, and energy on it, I think it's really easy to do, but it still pains me how piss poor of a job people do with this.
Well, so the illustration that we see here on the title page of our slides is really illustrative, and this is really all we have to say. Don't pick the blue guys, pick the orange guys when you're picking the tenant. That's all you need to know.
Right.
All right. So let's get into real.
I'm glad that they're not men or women, or that they're not black or white, or that there's not any other things that we are, applying here, Josh. Like, I mean, if this would have been anything other than blue or orange, we'd be in trouble.
You cannot lease to anyone from the Blue Man Group. Nobody.
Right.
Nobody at all. All right, let's go. All right. First of all, don't waste your time.
Right. Don't run ads in the paper. I'm not interested in running ads in the paper. I don't put my ad in the paper. I don't put my sign on the front yard. So I manage 4,000 units. That's an average of about 1,000 owners that I deal with. I have about 1,000 rental clients, by the way. I would love you to be my next client. And when I talk to owners, because sometimes it takes a little bit for a property to fill. And right now I can fill vacancies in 2 to 3 weeks. Every once in a while, it takes 5 weeks, just because of whatever. With a large data set, there's always going to be outliers. And the larger the data set, the more the outliers. So, once a month, once every 2 or 3 months, I've got a unit that I'm like scratching my head. And I'm like, why can't I fill this thing? It's been 5 weeks. And the owner's like, well, you don't even have a yard and sign in the front yard. I'm like, yeah, I know, because yards and signs get you the exact wrong type of person. I'm not interested. I used to put yards in signs to at least placate the owners or make the owner feel good, but I just am not interested.
Well, and beyond that, I used to have break-ins. Every time I would put up a for rent sign, 2 days later, I'm getting a call from the neighbor, and I got a foot of water in the basement. So I mean, that's a problem. So there's one caveat to the first one here, and that's in the newspaper. If you are working with a demographic that is like in an over 55 community or something like that, sometimes those newspapers will work. But in general,
yeah, absolutely. Like if you're renting a lakeshore property and you know that all of the local anglers read, the whatever paper, and you want to run there's like a little community thing there, or that on the southwest side of town, for whatever reason, there's like a large Spanish speaking population, and they've got a community newspaper, and you want to run an ad there. Listen, I get that. You know what I mean? Like, there's certainly There's also a part in Lancaster where there's like a minority run mega church that's in downtown Lancaster, that's in a specific community. If ever I was trying to rent anything in there, just because of whatever else, I would try to like get some stuff up on their bulletin board because it's close to the church and they're really plugged into that community. There's exceptions to every single rule. There's always an exception. But by and large, just don't waste your time with newspapers and yards and signs. That time is better someplace else.
All right, beautiful. All right. So we're gonna go through this and hit on 3 easy steps.
Right.
And we're gonna kind of contrast old school versus new school, because you can go online, you can talk to anybody that's rented properties before, and they tell you, just run a quick ad in the newspaper, and I get 20 people calling me. I don't know if that's so true anymore. So let's go ahead.
So the 3 big things are photos, description, and placement. You know what I mean? Where are we gonna place our ads, and what are we gonna do? So let's start with photos.
All right, photos.
Yeah. So the old way was that people would take one photo of the front of the house, arguably the worst possible photo you can take anyway. You know what I mean? If you are going to take a photo, it shouldn't be this photo. And this is the one photo that people would take. So one of the things that I always get that photo, but more than 25-30% of the time when I'm running ads, I don't, even for my listings, when I'm listing people's property, I don't have that curbside photo. Now, to list a property in the MLS, they say that one of those photos has to be that picture, but it does not need to be the lead. Does not need to be the lead photo, and therefore it's going to jump out and it's going to stand out. You have a camera in your back pocket that is better than any camera that's better than 90% of the cameras that people owned 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
So make sure that there's good lighting. Make sure that the lens is cleaned off. And just go through the property and take, if I'm in a 2-bedroom house that I really don't want to take a lot of pictures of, I'm taking 11 photos. Well, you know what I mean? There's a bunch of photos you can take.
The difference between film and digital is that you don't have to have them developed to know it's a crappy photo.
Right.
If you are having trouble and you're not sure what photos to take or what position to be in the room, take 5 photos of every room. It doesn't cost you anything. When you're doing, you pick the best and throw the rest out. It doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah, and you want to make sure that they tell a story about the property. You want to make sure, I like taking a picture that's like an up close and personal, of the doorknob or of the, of the shower faucet or of the sink spigot and things like that. You know what I mean? Like get creative with your with your pictures that you're taking.
And on this note as well, you can take a video walkthrough of the house. No.
Yeah, Bayshore just mentioned this.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. All right, fine.
I mean,
come on.
He said it just as you were saying it. And here's the deal: anybody who has a Gmail account has a YouTube channel. Everybody has a YouTube channel. Everybody can, and a bad video is better than no video. Just spend 3 minutes walking through the house. This is what this bedroom looks like. This is what this bedroom looks like. Okay, downstairs we've got the panel box and blah blah blah. Just walk around the outside of the house. Walk through the house. Stop it. Upload it onto YouTube. Cut and paste the link into any online ads that you're writing or anything like that.
If you have somebody living, one caveat to this: if you have somebody living in the house, a video is great, but make sure you walk through first.
Right.
Make sure. Excuse me. If you know that the tenant's going to be moving out, you have to touch up the paint on the ceiling in the bathroom because there was too much moisture and they didn't open the window. Don't go in there and point out the peeling paint on the ceiling. You know what I mean? Like that's just simple stuff
By the way, we actually had a lot of really good success during the shutdown, because for good or bad reasons, we had people moving out all the time. And we would have the tenants actually shoot these videos for us.
Yeah.
And, I would say, hey, Josh, listen, you're a tenant of mine. I greatly appreciate you being there. If you could shoot a video for me, what it'll actually do is it'll help me eliminate as many showings, and I won't need to have the property marketed as long, which, with this COVID thing going on, that's probably a good thing, right? Right. Yeah, absolutely. Great. And so you can have the tenants even do that for you, and they can send you the link and go from there.
Exactly. All right. So those are your photos. Next, description.
Yeah. So the old way was so funny, 3 bedrooms, no smoking, no pets, $1,000 a month, call Bob, and then a telephone number. Like, that's literally what you would get.
And one of the reasons for that is if you ever put an ad in the newspaper, which I have, they charge you by the character. Like, they give you 150 characters. I mean, it's like sending a tweet, and every time it goes over 150 characters, they send you another bill. Like,
man, that's reminding me, dude. So we always talk about content for this show. I'm just remembering all the classified ads that I used to have to run,
right?
And ways that I used to know to get classified ads to stand out. Like starting the headline for the classified with asterisk, 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 and then going into something and all those other. Remember all those tricks we used to use? Wow.
You realize in like 10 or 15 years, people are going to say the same thing about Facebook. They're going to be like, remember that platform that we used to use? That was ridiculous. You had to.
Facebook's never going away. I got to tell you, Facebook is here. Especially, why would you say that on Facebook? Don't you know Zuck is listening? We're going to get banned now. Thanks, Josh.
Seriously? I
mean, so anyway, here's the new way.
Standard Oil. Where's that?
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Sorry, the new way. Tell me about the new way.
The new way is that you should write your descriptions as if it's a listing description. Use colorful and explosive words and use vibrant descriptions of the properties. Make it jump out. I've talked about this on the show. My Brontosaurus-sized kitchen story. I say that, gas heat is good for the environment and good for your wallet. Those old tricks were good on Craigslist too.
Yeah,
absolutely. Remember when people used to trust Craigslist? So the other thing that's good to do here is talk about if there's a washer and dryer hookup, because maybe they're going to the laundromat right now. There is no more character limit. So talk about everything that you can in this description.
Well, and so the other thing that I want to point out here, that you, Judah, you do this in your ads, but you didn't describe it. You want to highlight benefits,
right?
Not what the heck
features.
Thank you. Jeez.
You talk about you don't say that there's just a washer and dryer. You say washer and dryer hookup, so you never have to go to the laundromat again. Two bathrooms. Imagine never letting the kids not use your shower. You know what I mean? Like there's all kinds of ways that you can comfortable gas heat, cozy gas heat. Things like that.
Yep. Make sure you include email addresses and multiple ways for people to contact you. I mean, if you're going to put a phone number on the ad, it should be for a cell phone so people can text you. It will greatly increase the number of responses that you're going to get, unless you don't want text.
No, well, see, here's the thing is, and I got to tell you, you definitely got to use your telephone, your own personal cell phone, and your own personal email. I have never, ever, ever. It wasn't until I started managing, when I started with Slate House Group, we had 800 units. So at that point, I stopped using my own personal cell phone number, and we started using technology. So I use a plug-in piece of technology called Show Mojo to manage all my showings for me, and the call to action is a link. But if you're not trying to fill more than 2 or 3 vacancies in a month, then you should definitely be using your personal cell phone number. I've never, ever, ever had a problem where, they gave my cell phone number to the Russian mafia, or I had to turn somebody down for a space and they came and found my house or something else like that. There's no reason not to just use your personal cell.
Yeah. All right. So placement, easy way number 3.
Yeah. So the old way used to be signs in yards and ads in the local paper and maybe even Craigslist.
You remember when Craigslist had those templates that it was a third party and you can cut and paste the HTML in there and they actually look good? What the heck? And then all of a sudden it was spam.
Well, yeah, I mean, Craigslist mm, Craigslist problem was they wanted to be consumer to consumer, and so they did a bunch of stuff to make it difficult for businesses. And so what they all ended up doing was making it hard for a bunch of small businesses to participate there. And the only way you could get around that is there was a lot of small businesses and consumers that looked like businesses that ended up getting flagged. So the only way around that was if you had to know the Craigslist secret sauce, and the only people who knew the Craigslist secret sauce were scammers out of China and Russia and Afghanistan.
I got a hilarious story on that. So my business partner, when I had the management company, he was notorious for going on these like black hat forums and finding like the way around the algorithm, right?
Right.
So we would post on Craigslist for vacants 3 times a day. All of the vacants 3 times a day. Well, if you know anything about Craigslist, that's a great way to get ghosted.
Right.
So there would be every third word would be spelled a different way. And like there were all these misspellings and all this stuff. It ended up backfiring in our face because people would look at it and be like, you can't even spell the word sale. Like, what the heck is wrong with, it put off all the red flags. So you just do it the right way. That's it.
Yeah, and that's the problem is Craigslist is a perfect example of what not to do in running a business, because I am so surprised that Craigslist had such a monopoly and so much market share that they just refused to innovate and refused to do a couple small things to maintain their monopoly. And now, look at what Facebook Marketplace has done. They've come in and totally taken over that space. And they've also monetized it to the point that it's crazy.
Yeah.
So
the new way.
New way is you want to get this onto 100 different websites out there where there's a bunch of different apartments. We've set these systems up where we syndicate them out there on a bunch of different websites. And you just want to get it on as many different online platforms and forums as possible. I would tell you that Zillow is absolutely critical. But there's a lot, but Facebook Marketplace is huge as well. And if you're on the Zillow network and you're on Facebook Marketplace, you're probably going to do pretty good. But as you are a professional landlord, you're going to find other places and other ways that you can get your property listed online, and you want it to be on as many of them as possible. I list my listings on about 100 different listings. It's why I am not worried about competition, and that's why I'm not worried about teaching other people how to fill vacancies, because I will always be the best performing at filling vacancies out there.
Well, Judah, let's be honest, though. I mean, it's not like you're sitting there and typing in the same description and uploading the same pictures to 100 different sites. Right. You're able to use software that will syndicate it out.
Yeah, we build a syndication model, and I type it in once, and I upload my photos once to my system, and push publish, and also on my website, I get like 13,000 unique visitors a month on my website, about 50 to 60,000 page views a month. So again, I'm not bragging. I'm just saying. I guess the other thing is, I've been at this for 20 years. And if you out there, dear listener, continue to be a real estate investor, whatever track you want to take. I've taken the entrepreneurship track and manage a lot of properties for a bunch of different people. There can be a number of other ways that you get this highly successful at this business, and it just takes time.
Right. And we're going to get in a little bit deeper tomorrow and on Wednesday and talk more about like what happens when this phone starts ringing, how do you screen the tenants, all that kind of stuff. A lot of
how do you screen tenants without getting called a racist, bigoted, sexist, homophobe? You know what I mean? How do you screen tenants without getting in trouble? Because here's the dirty little secret that a lot of people don't know. There's a whole lot of businesses out there that the only way you can get in trouble is if you do something wrong and somebody reports you. If you own a restaurant, though, the food police come out and they do tests and they look and stuff, and there's a health and safety inspection on a regular basis, right?
Yeah.
The real estate industry is the exact same way. if Josh runs a real estate company, and he does, Josh has a mortgage lending operation. I guarantee you, Josh has talked to testers and he doesn't even know. People call him up and say, I am this gender or that gender, or I belong to this protected category or that protected category. And they slide it in subtly into the conversation to see, does Josh treat me any different? And are Josh's outcomes any different based on these known things? So you will be tested. You need to do everything you can to go against. So there's a way to screen people. And if you screen people wrong, it will look like you're a Nazi, whether you want to be one or not. You know what I mean? If you screen people wrong, you will look like you're a bad, awful person. I'm not saying don't be a bad, awful person because you don't want to get a flag. I mean, it's the right moral thing to do. But you need to be very careful.
But sometimes also, like there are you can't even advertise. The laws around this are so big and so strong, and the repercussions are so negative that you can't even put ads out in a lot of places if they even seem a little bit slanted in one direction or another. And as for instance, let's talk about, let's say you have, you're leasing in a 55 over community. You cannot filter. You might be able to place differently, but you can't put an ad out there that says 55 and older only. You know, if you're under 55, need not apply or anything like that. Like that's against.
You also can't say close to, you know, our Mary Mother of Grace Catholic Church. You know what I mean? Because that looks like you're going to favor Catholics. You can't say great starter home for a family, or, you know, good for F&M students. Or, you know, there is, you cannot say anything that looks like you are, you know, pro kid or anti kid, or pro religion or anti religion. Like you can't, you know, even if it looks like, oh, well, I know I can't discriminate against women, so this is a positive woman post. No, that's problematic too.
Right. The only people that you can discriminate against are the blue people.
Right, blue people that we talked about as a
Blue Man group. No,
not going to rent any current or former members of the Blue Man group.
All right. Hey, that's it for today. We'll be back here tomorrow at noon. Thanks for joining us. I want to give a quick shout out to Josh Stoll, Jeremy Bayshore, and Bayshore Travis. Thanks for the love, guys. If you liked our show, don't forget to like and share our video. We'll be back here tomorrow for episode 100. See you tomorrow.